Oh, my stars. So, yes, this is. Hey, hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wilde, and welcome to the Spaces Between, as I've been mucking around with all the things. Interesting. So, yes, I hope you guys are just having a fantabulous day. Here it is. As we're running through December. Yes, because, hey, it's a good time, right? Um, And my apologies for missing last week. It was a holiday thing, of course. And I hope for those of you here in the US, you had a great holiday time with your family or family time. Let's just call it family time because I don't know this really holiday time. I don't know. I don't remember much of celebrating like the whole pilgrim thing other than in grade school because it really wasn't my jam. I don't know if that makes sense. I spent too much time on Native American reservations to really identify with a lot of the pilgrim type programming, the Columbus programming. So, anyway, so yeah, as I just wander off the beaten path. So, yeah, I hope you guys are just having a good day. If you want to reach out and say hello to me, please do so by sending me an email at wildpaisley@gmail.com. Hey, Drake. And then can't talk and type at the same time. That actually hasn't changed at all, ever in the history of ever. It probably won't ever change because, yeah, I just can't do that. It's just like walking, talking, and chewing bubblegum. It wasn't ever something I could do when I was younger either. So I don't know why I'd be able to do two things at once now. Yeah, maybe someday. Anyway, so yeah, good family time. At Christmas time, we'll have actually more family at home, which is cool. Both of my boys will have their families here, and yeah, it'll be great. Lots of food. So when Christmas, Yule, etc., blah blah blah. You know, as a pagan, often it is a little frustrating because people are like, "Oh, what holiday do you celebrate?" It's like, I celebrate Christmas and Yule and all of it. So, I mean, what's the big deal, right? And it seems like for many, you celebrate one or the other. It's like, well, I'm not going to take the joy of Christmas away from my daughter because that's her favorite time of the year. But yet, at the same time, I'm not going to, not celebrate Yule. So, it's just one of those things. Anyways, so yes, I do both. I mean, why not? Party more. Actually, no, it's not so much party more as it's just like more family time. And that's really what it is for me. So, I don't know if you guys noticed the video at the beginning was kind of some pharmaceutically type things. So, yeah, today I want to talk about some pharmaceutical things because that was something that happened to me actually over the weekend. I had a bit of a blood pressure issue. I took a picture of the readout on my blood pressure cuff because it was just insane. And I am prone to chronic migraines, and I take medication daily actually for the migraines. And I have like one of those. I have emergency medication for my migraines, so you'd think things would be okay, right? Well, so I woke up. This was Saturday, so it was after cooking and all the things, and so Saturday morning I felt just kind of funky, but it was okay, right? And eating breakfast, and I can feel the migraine coming on because I get a lot of tightness in my face when it happens, and I can feel it in my teeth, and it feels weird. I don't know how else to put it, just weird. But yeah, my blood pressure was like 193 over 116, which is not good. It's quite high. And then I have bradycardia, which means that I have a low heart rate generally. So my heart rate was only 57 with that. And a little cause for concern, but I went ahead and took my migraine medication, set my alarm for an hour, figured, let the medication soak in. I'm supposed to take one every hour, that kind of thing. So there's a reason for the hour timer. And figured, I'll check my blood pressure again and see where it's at. Yeah, an hour later, it's 208 over 127. Interestingly, my heart rate was lower. It's 50. And so it's like, the pain in my head wasn't getting any better. And I wasn't feeling that much better. And it was just, one of those things. just didn't feel great. And so trotted my happy little butt off to urgent care. Figure, I'll have them check my blood pressure. Maybe I'm doing it wrong, right? Because, that can happen. Operator error. I am fully admitting that I screw up on a regular basis, right? And I'm fine with that. So what do? I get there and I hang out in the lobby with, a handful of other folks. And I talked to this older gentleman who's actually really fascinating. He's lived in the area for a while and just had a lot of great information about the area. And it was fantastic. I just had a good visit with him. We just chatted in general. And he went off to go get his stuff done because he had other stuff that needed taken care of. And apparently the triage nurse finally looked at my intake sheet and she's like, oh my. And she came and she was checking my heart rate and my blood oxygen and stuff right there in the lobby. I'm like, that's fun. That generally means that they're a little concerned. And then they had me come out into the hallway and they took my blood pressure. It was not any lower, which was frustrating. And then, so they took me back into a room so I could have an EKG done because they wanted to, I think it's EKG, measure my heart and listen to my heart and make sure it's working all right. And then they're like, we're not sure that you're in the right place. And so our urgent care is actually in the same building as our emergency room. Well, just busy day, I guess. And so they decided urgent care was not the right place and wheeled me on down to the emergency room. And where they did more EKG and because of the headache and the way it presents often in my face, because it's so fantastic. I went to had a CT done. So I had my head examined over the weekend, right? It's great. I am going somewhere with this. Story time, I promise. Anyways, so CT happens and I come back and you know what? Everything comes back normal. Which in the world of medicine and people who have chronic illness of any kind, normal is a swear word. I have to tell you, it is the worst word you can ever have because you're like, what do you mean it's normal? My heart rate's normal? And no, it's not. It's bradycardia. I have a low heart rate. And there's just some things I can't take. For instance, I can't have Benadryl. Isn't that crazy? Because Benadryl lowers your heart rate. And so, all right, well, I can't have Benadryl. No big deal. I'm not worried about it because I wasn't allergic to anything. So that wasn't the problem. And so here we are. The doctor comes back. He says, well, your heart looks good. They checked my blood to see if there's any markers in it for anything else. Nope, that was good. And everything was looking good. And so they just decided I had really high blood pressure, gave me some blood pressure medication, and sent me on my merry way and told me to keep an eye on it and follow up with my primary care doctor on Monday. It's like, great. Well, I know what it's not. So I wasn't having a heart attack and I wasn't having a stroke, which, that's good. I didn't want to be having either of those things because honestly, who does? Not I. I don't want one. I will pass. I don't need that on my bingo card this year. We only have so many days left. I don't need it. So on Monday of this week, I went ahead and I called up my primary care doctor. I'm like, hey, I had this thing happen and I figured I should follow up. And so that's me doing the follow-up. And yeah. So I go in and he's like, well, let's talk about stuff. And so he's like, well, that blood pressure medication is kind of like a drop in the bucket when you look at this particular blood pressure, and it's not going to help you any. So I'm going to put you on this one instead. It's like, okay, cool. And totally works for me. Is one of the side effects of the other one was a dry cough, and I don't need that. If I've already got a high blood pressure, thank you very much. I don't need anything that's going to make it worse. Period. So here I am. I'm doing the things. Yep. Mm-hmm. And he's like, okay, well, and so we talked about some of the other medications I take, like preventative that I have for migraines. And some of that preventative is both a blood pressure medication and a preventative. And for the most part, they've been doing the trick right up until like recently, which, okay, cool. So I was like, well, let's change it up. Let's see what else we can do. Well, Because in the United States of America, we have an interesting insurance issue here, or medical health issue. Now, when Obamacare was passed through and Obamacare was on the agenda and all that stuff, I was cautiously optimistic because I was hoping for some true reform. Because, yes, there's some out of control costs, there's some out of control things, and by golly, there's some mismanagement of funds. I mean, Big Pharma has its fingers in way too many pies and it needs to scale that back. I understand why a little bit. Well, actually, I understand why. It's about the almighty dollar, right? But that the race for that dollar bothers me, and the way they do it bothers me. And so, instead of fixing things the way I feel they should have been, things were adjusted. And as someone who actually worked in the health insurance field, I do kind of know a little bit of what I'm talking about here, guys. And it just made everything kind of a mess. A FUBAR, regular, good old fashioned FUBAR, made it harder for insurance agents. It made it a little bit harder for healthcare providers. And by golly, did not make anything easier for the average individual because most of us don't really know anything about insurance. And then we're not even talking about Medicare because Medicare is an entirely different beast. So once you go on Medicare, it's like in a whole different language. And it's ridiculous. Oh, my stars. Like there's extra training in the insurance world just for Medicare stuff. And it's insane. And so here I am trying to figure out what are we going to do. So I get a prescription. I'm given this discount card paid to help offset some of the copays. I'm like, okay, cool. That's awesome. So maybe it'll be a little more affordable. Yeah, no, it's not covered at all. Actually, it is covered, but they want me to try some of these other things first. It's like, okay, that's awesome. But it takes like 24 to 36 hours to figure that out. So I'm glad this wasn't an emergency, right? And so the first one was rejected. They prescribed a second one. The second one was approved. But get this, my copay after insurance covers their part was like $380 for 15 pills. 15. 15 pills. And if I hadn't had insurance, it would have been closer to $2,000. $2,000 because it's a name brand drug. There are no there's no other version of it out there. You have to have the name brand. It's like, well, son of a biscuit. I don't have that kind of money. So call up my doctor again. It's like, hey, what else can I do? So get this though. The company that provides that particular medication, they provide what's called a discount card. So you go to their website, you plug in your information, say who you are, here's my phone number, blah, blah, blah. And then they ask a question. It's like, are you on things like Medicare, Medicaid, like certain forms of retirement insurance and this kind of thing and that kind of thing? There's like 6 different categories. But if you are, you're not eligible for the discount card. Well, because I am disabled, I'm on Medicare disability, and that's fine. But that means I'm not eligible for this discount card because if I had been, I would have zero copay. Zero copay. But because I am on Medicare, I have to pay $360, $70. Excuse me? Why? Is it because you guys are sticking it to the government? Is that what this is? That's Big Pharma for you. You know, and so that means if I'm going to pay out of pocket $2,000, or my insurance covers and my copay is like, we'll call it $360, $360. Or if I don't have either of those things, I just want their free card, or maybe I lie about it, which I'm not doing because no. But I'm sure people do. Then I can have it for free. That means they're charging me enough to pay for all those other folks to have free medications. Why am I okay with this? I'm not actually. So no, I denied that one, and it's frustrating to me in a huge, huge way because here in the U.S., especially, it seems like big pharma just has this chokehold on our medical industry, and not just big pharma, but the almighty dollar, if you will, just and all those things because you know they're it's Western medicine, which I have to roll my eyes at a little bit because it's the newer medicine. So the new medicine, rather than the old medicine or traditional or homeopathic, is the way we're supposed to do things, right? We're supposed to go get all the vaccines. And I don't because some of them actually are bad for me because of my autoimmune issues, because of that brachycardia. We don't want that heart rate to go lower than it already is. Technically, brachycardia is a heart rate that is less than 60 beats per minute. Mine is generally around 50, maybe 55. I know I'm in danger when it's closer to 50 or it dips below. About 47 beats a minute, I start falling asleep while I'm standing up and trying to do things. So, yeah, that's not good, right? So I can't have anything that's going to reduce my heart rate. So a lot of these medications out there, that's what they do. They lower your heart rate. They depress your system in order to work. And that's what it is. It's a depression. Downers, if you will. Depression. Yep, same kind of thing. So as I'm looking at my pharmaceutical list now that I take, it's like, what of these things can I continue taking and what should I not? And I'm working with my doctor, of course. I'm not just winging it because that's bad also. Don't just stop taking your medication because that's bad. Because a lot of stuff has like withdrawal effects, especially if you've been taking stuff for a while. I mean, seriously. Yeah. So as I'm drinking a cup of herbal tea, in the wintertime when you're feeling a little like froggy or hoarse, or you've been spending too much time around other people's kids or in public places, you get a scratchy throat. How many of you drink herbal tea? Right? This one, I think, is called Throat Coat, just because I actually like it. So, as I'm looking at the ingredients, there's things like licorice root, slippery elm bark, marshmallow root, wild cherry bark, fennel fruit, cinnamon bark, and orange peel. So, if you are diabetic, for instance, and you drink this tea, and you drink a lot of it, for instance, and you'd have to drink a lot, but still, say you drink a lot of this tea with cinnamon in it, or maybe you drink a lot of chai tea with cinnamon. Did you know that cinnamon stabilizes your blood sugar? That's a known fact. You can research it. It's out there. You talk to your pharmacist. Yep, they'll tell you that sugar or cinnamon interacts with your blood sugar levels. So if that's the case, you're diabetic and you start going for the herbal teas, have you thought about some of those interactions those herbals are going to have with your medications? Or maybe you're a heart patient, or maybe you have you're on blood thinners, right? So I have a whole list of ingredients here. What if we go to slippery elm bark, right? So it comes from the inner bark of the elm tree. It's a soothing agent for sore throats and digestive issues, etc., etc. Yep, it's really good for you. But in small amounts, it's okay for folks who are pregnant, but in large amounts, not so good. Seriously. And if you and there are other interactions. So if I go or slippery elm bark and pharmacy, let's see. It's popular. It's a popular natural medicine, right? Actually, it is. I've seen it in many grocery stores around the area, and because digestive issues, et cetera, et cetera. But it can block absorption. So if you have absorption issues in your gut, so say you have gastric bypass surgery, This particular tea might impact your ability to absorb nutrients. Yeah, isn't that crazy? And so you're supposed to not drink this 2 hours before or after you take medication. That's a big deal. I mean, so if I'm deciding I want a cup of herbal tea to go with my thyroid medication, this is not one I should have. Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Lucky says it helps with the that time of the month cramps, which yeah, that's a fun one too. Wild cherry bark. Actually, wild cherry is good for you. But wild cherry bark, what's it do? Well, it's soothing, cough suppressing, anti-inflammatory. Yep. Reduces inflammation, especially in your throat. Actually, that's one of the reasons why I like it. Um, but to go with pharmaceuticals, well, you gotta start digging in, like what's going on. So, Mountain Rose Herbs is one of those things. Is a site that I really like. They have good products and they have good information, but you need to again be careful. So Lucky says, "Yep, wild cherry. Yep, mucoid layer. It is actually really good for you for that. But yeah, let's see if I can find. I just see where it benefits. I'm not seeing any counterindications, so that's kind of good, right? But let's try this one. Oops, wrong button. No. Licorice root. Actually, I love licorice and licorice root. Oops, wrong buttons. That's what I get for um, not paying attention, right? So if I look at uh, licorice root, another one that I really love, it is a um, it's often found in many things, right? Not just in herbal teas, um, but it can also interact with things that medications for blood pressure and medications that affect potassium levels. And so that actually goes for eating licorice, black licorice, if you like licorice drops. So you need to double check with your pharmacist before you drink a lot of licorice tea. Uh, if you have hypertension, heart or kidney disease, or similar medications, and you just need to make sure that you're not taking too much licorice root tea, or that you're not going to have too many counterindications. And that's just from it's called throat coat. It's a blend. It's got some really good stuff in here: fennel fruit, cinnamon bark, orange peel, echinacea, um, marshmallow root, which I love because it's another one of those mucoid layer things. So yeah, soothes your throat. Actually, it's really good for your stomach too. That's what marshmallows were for originally. But it's not good for you if you are pregnant or nursing. Just out of curiosity. And pharmacy. So combine that with pharmacy, and survey says, well, hey, um, be careful. Ba, ba, ba. There it is. For the most part, you're okay. I think, but it is one of those things that is. I don't need the coupon things. You gotta be careful with too much because what else is it mixed with? It's generally safe. So generally recognized as safe. So if you see an herbal supplement and it has GRAS, GRAS, is generally recognized as safe for use in foods or when used orally in medicinal amounts. Now, it's not a statement that's been, you know, evaluated by the FDA. It's just one of those things that um, it's like an industry standard. So, but yeah, marshmallow root is good for like your cell integrity. It's just a stabilizer, if you will. Plus, if you want to make homemade marshmallows, it's one of those things you should get because those are awesome. But there are other things out there that we take all the time or eat all the time, and we may not know that there are problems. For instance, beets. So I take a beetroot gummy, and I like my beetroot gummy because it also has acai, and beetroot is really good for you. However, it does interact with blood thinners and other things that are metabolized by the liver. So if you're taking a lot of it, be careful. Or if you eat a lot of beets, be careful. And I can tell when something is wrong with me because I will crave pickled beets like nobody's business. But yeah, your blood pressure medications, beet juice can really lower your blood pressure. So I have to be careful with how many beets I eat, um, which is insane, right? You would think just eating naturally grown things. Or what about beetroot sugar? I don't know. But yeah, vitamin K, which aids in clotting, is one of those vitamins that's really concentrated in beetroot. So yeah, it can really impact your ability to clot appropriately. So yeah. So what are you eating? So basically, where I'm going is food is medicine, right? These are things that are grown naturally. They grow wild. You can grow them in your garden. There's just a couple of things right here, right? And they affect your health. You know, whether it's your blood pressure, your heart rate, your throat. So, like this, my water bottle here is 24 ounces, 32 ounces, something like that. But I'm supposed to drink 4 of those a day, about 100 ounces. So if you take, and it's not quite an accurate number just because apparently I'm also dehydrated. But so if you take your weight and divide it in two, whatever that is the number of ounces of water you should drink in a day. So stop and think about it. That is a lot of water. Is it not? Because, yeah, it is a lot of water. And I am really glad that I can at least measure it in here. And I put stuff in here. I've got some electrolyte powder that I put in there. It's got it's like a watermelon and cilantro powder and lemon powder. It's all freeze dried, so it's ground up into a powder, and it's easier for me to just drink it this way because A, it gives me a little bit of flavor. Else, 100 ounces of water is a bloody lot of water. Oh my stars! Or I add a little bit of herbal to it, but you also have to be careful with that. So as I'm going somewhere with that, all of this. So all of these homeopathic type things, the herbal teas and such, they're often really rather affordable. So if I go to Mountain Rose Tea, for instance, and I want to buy, say, wild cherry bark, so I can make my own, well, I'm not even going to go there. I'm just going to, so Dr. Google has a nice, beautiful, hey, I'm going to go shopping here. I can buy a pound of wild cherry bark for $25, or a pound or 4 ounces of it, Star West, for $8.50. I can buy some tea from Etsy. It's a specific blend, I guess. It's dried, cut, and sifted, and it's for $3.99. I can go to this co-op, and I can go to, it's $24.66 a pound, or here's one where I can just get the chunks of it and grind it up myself for $13.86 a pound. Well, I know which one I'd rather do is get the chunks because it's probably a little fresher, maybe. I don't know. Kind of crazy, right? Or I can get it in a package like this came in. So that's the other thing. This tea that you get in a bag, a lot of the medicinals in that have been dried out quite a bit. So if you're getting stuff from, say, a naturopathy shop or a tea shop where it's fresh, loose leaf stuff, it's probably going to be a lot more potent. So be careful with that. So basically where I'm going is that's not very expensive, right? When you stop and think about my migraine medication was going to be $360. So homeopathic for migraine. Now, interestingly, Dr. Google pops up and says, hey, one of the things I should take is belladonna. Not that I'm going to, because, hey, guess what? That affects your heart rate. Um, but a lot of the medications that are out there have natrum muricadium, which is good, but another one of those blood pressure and or heart rate things in small doses. So a lot of side note, side quest. So side note, one of those things. So belladonna. When most people think of belladonna, or they hear belladonna, they're like, "Oh, it's a poison. You're going to kill yourself." Sure, if I was going to eat like a plant, but a lot of your toxins and poisons in small doses are really good for medications. But the person prescribing or dosing has to actually know what they're doing, or else they will also be measuring you for a casket or a vomit bucket. It kind of depends, because some of these things really do have side effects that involve, like, sound like a pharmaceutical commercial, right? So, and not all homeopathic remedies are right for all people. So, yeah, there's all sorts of here. So, um, bryonia is for headaches that worsen significantly with movement and improve with complete stillness and pressure to the affected area. That sounds like a great idea, right? So it's a beautiful plant. It's a lovely little plant. Um, and it's native to Western Eurasia and North Africa and the Canary Islands and South Asia. So that's great, right? Well, a lot of these plants actually are local to the Asiatic regions. So it makes you wonder, it's like, maybe traditional Chinese medicine or Asian medicine actually had something to it. And when I say traditional Chinese herbal medicine, or Chinese medicine, it's a healing system that is rooted in an ancient philosophy of Taoism that encompasses many practices, including acupuncture, acupressure, cupping, Chinese herbal medicine, tuina, dietary therapy, tai chi, and qigong. It's a mouthful, right? I will include this whole link in the show notes because, hey, you know what? I think it's good for you. And there will be some really good information there. So, Chinese medicine has been around for millennia. If you stop and think about some of the oldest empires out there, the Chinese Empire has been around for a very long time. They have seen the rise and fall of civilizations like nobody's business. So I'm pretty sure when they look at the US, they laugh at us a wee bit because we've only been here for a short period of time and we're pretty egotistical about it. But that being said, we are also a stubborn group and we're not afraid to bite back. So be careful. So, but with the Chinese medicine, um, it's a philosophy. It's not just like, hey, you're going to take a pill and get better. It's a philosophy. And I've been doing some research into this because if you look just at a population of people, like if you're zooming in on like a Google videos or watching the news or whatever, a lot of folks that you see in Asian videos, they're slender, right? They're not heavyweight, but yet if you look at videos of the United States, the proportion of people that are slender to overweight is vastly different. I mean, it's very much the opposite. Well, it's part of, I mean, mostly is their diet. I mean, they eat just differently. So it's their whole philosophy is different. Um, they don't have as many fast food joints as we do. They're just as likely to go eat some raw veggies and a bowl of rice. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's actually pretty good. So just, you need to There's a lot of information there. I'm going to let you do your own research, but it's a very healthy lifestyle if you stop and think about it. I'm not saying change. I'm just saying it's different. So when it comes to the whole entire process, though, the acupuncture. I don't know if you've had a chance to try it, but man, I'm a believer. hmm it's kind of really awesome, but you actually need to have someone who knows what they're doing. It's not just, hey, I found this picture of acupuncture points on Pinterest and I got myself some quilting pins and I'm going to poke some places and hope I get it right. No, actually, there's more to it than that. And there's a whole lot of study um, and it's fascinating and it's awesome. But acupuncture regulates and restores the normal flow of qi or chi, which helps to restore the health process. Now, when I've had some back issues, for instance, because I have them every so often, they flare up and they are just fantastically awesome. Um, it often feels like a snarl of energy just located in my lower back, which is horrible. It's a horrible feeling because you feel like no matter which way you're going to twitch, it's going to hurt. Everything's going to hurt. So, knowing that there are like meridians, and there are, the chakras, the meridians, just like in the world around us, they are within us as well. And I've mentioned chakras in the past. Um, those energetic pathways help us. I mean, that energy, if it doesn't flow right, for whatever reason, you're not going to feel well. Because yes, it'll affect your ability to fight inflammation and the immunostimulating problems that we often encounter in our day-to-day lives and the food that we eat. And then when it comes to the herbal medicine, it's not just acupuncture or acupressure. It's a lot of herbs. And by golly, do they have a lot of herbs? They understand a lot of the background between the herbal interactions. And there's often a lot of contraindications and things that people don't understand when it comes to herbal medicines. Like, oh, hey, I'm going to drink a cup of tea. I'm going to feel better. No, it's not a cup of tea. It's again, becomes a lifestyle. It's just like if your doctor says you can't have coffee anymore, a lot of people are like, but I drink a pot a day. I go to Starbucks or I go to the local whatever. I don't. I used to drink a lot more coffee. I generally drink about a cup a day now, sometimes two. But generally, it's that's about it. Do I still need the caffeine? Well, I guess, yes, but I like it. So part of it is my morning routine, and as part of my routine, as part of my intention setting, and visualizing my day. So it helps me, get my thought process in place and move forward, and that really really helps me manage me. And that doesn't work for everybody, right? But for a lot of folks, it does. So, um, when it comes to the herbal medicine or the teas, and man, there's a lot of information out there about teas and the herbal remedies. Um, if you start drinking different teas on a regular basis, you will find yourself interacting. Well, one, drinking them, you're having more fluids go into your system. So you're having additional hydration because a lot of the tea is not um, hydrophobic, and as in it's repelling water. It helps to enhance your water retention and processes. So yes, I'm supposed to have 100 ounces of water. Um, but how much of that do I actually retain in my cells, and how much of that is just like going in one end and out the other? Well, most of it is going in one end and out the other because, by golly, that's a stupid lot of water. And after a while, it's like, I need something else. So I add frozen fruit actually if I need something else, rather than going to the store and get one of those flavoring things. Or I use the freeze dried fruit, crushed up, to mix in my water, which really helps more than anything. So when it comes to Chinese medicine, which oddly is considered traditional medicine, because it's been there for a long time. There's a lot of certifications out there, so make sure if you're going to someone who practices, that they are certified, they do know what they're doing, And if you stop and think about it, Chinese medicine being around for 5,000 years, would it really still be here if it didn't work? Probably not, honestly. Um, so, yeah. So, as I was doing some research, leading up to what I wanted to talk about today, I typed in my search was like big pharma pros and cons, pharma pros and cons, homeopathy pros and cons, Eastern medicine pros and cons, that kind of thing. Because, and interestingly, when it came to pharma, uh, it was talking about career moves rather than taking care of yourself. And homeopathy or homeopathy, however you want to pronounce it, and Chinese medicine, we're talking about taking care of people. So, out of the 3 different avenues I researched here, one of them was all about the money right out of the get go. You stop and think about that. Before I had a chance to even read any articles, look at any headlines, do any scrolling, or anything like that, one was absolutely, it's like, hey, pros and cons of a pharmaceutical career, pros and cons of working for big pharma, exploring careers in pharmacy and pharmaceuticals, big pharma versus startups, who to work for. And that's what I got. And in searching for pros and cons of homeopathic medicine, it's like homeopathy, what you need to know, understanding medicine and side effects, advantages and disadvantages. Basically, it's going to how to care for people. And when I did the same thing with Chinese medicine, it came up with, hey, this is what it is, and this is how it takes care of you. So, right out of the gate, just looking at my own personal experience and the cost for my medications, it's like, this tells me that the pharmaceutical industry is looking for my dollars. They're not looking for taking care of me. They're looking for a way to keep me sick and a way to prescribe me more medications and ways to find more money from me. And I don't want that, for crying out loud. I would rather be a healthy individual. So, you know, um, you know, so many of us, we sit in front of a computer or our phones, we look at YouTube videos or social media videos or whatever, or we watch, people doing podcasts or vloggers or announcers or what. There's all these things, all this information at our fingertips online. And how often do we research ways to care for ourselves better? Ways to manage our health, ways to do what we need to accomplish. When I was in sales, I used to do a vision board, if you will, for the year. The things that I wanted to accomplish for the year, and often they were big goals. What are my big goals for the year? And I would try to keep it to a relatively smaller number because a lot of those big goals are like, ooh, they're big, right? And so when you look at a big goal and you want to make it achievable, you have to reverse engineer how to achieve it. It's like, what do I need to achieve that goal? Do I need time? Do I need energy? Do I need money? Do I need other resources? What do I need? So you have to break it down, right? And that reverse engineering tells me all the different steps that I have to take to achieve that goal. And then it's up to me to put the processes in place to achieve the goals. Pretty straightforward, yeah? Actually, it is. And then Vision Board has pictures on it, so I can, hey, check in. This is what I'm doing. A friend of mine actually used to keep a picture of his Vision Board taped to his steering wheel to make sure that he accomplished it. And that's pretty flippin' fantastic. You're so in tune with your vision and your dreams that you're going to keep checking in that often. He had like on his mirror and it was at work, it was at home, it was all over the place. His wife was totally, I'm done with this stuff. But, I get it. So here we are. We're like, wow, all these things, all this information at our fingertips. And we spent a lot of time looking at, silly cat videos or people running into things or what the latest social media trends are, et cetera, et cetera. I'm as guilty as the next person. Totally get it. I do try to balance it out with some, research and some other things, but there is some stuff that is really out there. I mean, here, an alternate question regarding Chinese medicine: does it really work? Well, AI is like, I don't know. Maybe it's complex. It's a complex topic. Thanks, AI. But for me, it does. The holistic, the homeopathic, um, the alternative, the Eastern medicine, the Chinese medicine, that kind of thing, those all work. Now, I'm not saying you should quit your pharmaceutical world and go into your regular doctor and find a holistic or homeopathic doctor, because that may not be the right choice for you. And it's not the right choice for everybody, honestly. So, holistically, I have a regular general practice doctor that I see. Now, that's my primary care. And he's fantastic. He's not afraid to look at other things, look outside of the box. He's ex-military, and by golly, there are other things out there than just following on the dotted line. And he knows this. And I'm sure there's things he can't talk about. Let's just put it that way. So, so when we look at these other types of caring for ourselves, what else is there? I mean, homeopathy has been around for a long time. This is funny. This article says it's been around for more than 200 years. Well, yeah, duh. It's been around longer than that. It's basically what Asian or the Chinese medicine was homeopathy. It's using the plant life around us to cure what ails us. There's, for every disease that is occurring naturally, or illness or what have you that occurs naturally in our world, there is a natural cure. And a lot of the reason for the higher cost of pharmaceuticals is because instead of using that natural resource, they are trying to engineer it, to duplicate it, to 3D print it, if you will, and create alternatives to do the thing. So I get why that's necessary sometimes, but doggone it, maybe we should just grow more echinacea or ginger root, or there are other things to do instead of having the big giant farms, the factory farms. What's wrong with the smaller hobby farms with the herbal gardens? That one-on-one, the true care. Because if you go and you do things in the big way, like the factory farms, you lose out on some of that quality, that intensity that smaller gardens get, because they are, hey Paisley, because those big gardens are often awash with other things. They're not able to get the intense care that a smaller garden would get. So, like, for instance, we have rabbits, so I use rabbit manure and bed and straw and such, and for fertilizer and to help build up my garden beds, etc., which is great, right? Well, it is great, actually. I like it. And it makes everything a little more fertile, and I get to grow more things, and it's fun, and I love it. But at the same time, if I had a bigger garden, if you will, what else would I use? Would I want to use commercial things to grow my garden? Well, that's the shortcut, isn't it? We have gotten away from doing things the traditional way, rotating our crops, to co-planting, because there's a lot of planting, or there's a lot of gardening and herbals and things out there that grow in harmony with the world around us without taking things away. And then also, if we keep looking around, so as our world keeps getting smaller and our population increases, that demand for wood and building materials grows, right? It's not going to stop. So we need to start looking for other alternatives. What else can we do? I follow a gentleman that is trying to make fuel out of plastic. Whether or not that works, I don't know. He's managed to not blow himself up, even though he's tried really hard. And it's interesting. He's got an interesting process, and I try to watch as many of his videos as I can, and I try to share as many of them as I can, because if he's legit and he starts competing with big oil in any way, shape, or form, yeah, that's gonna be a life sentence for him. He'll get the Hillary heart attack, by golly. So you got to be careful with that. But there are other things out there. There are other ways to create the things that we use on the day to day. For instance, the hemp industry. I'm not saying the pot industry, the hemp industry. Man, talk about a renewable resource that grows back like that. Why aren't we using more of hemp, for instance, to create a lot of our paper products instead of cutting down trees? Interesting question, right? And also, I don't know if you guys knew this, but it actually has a pretty high alcohol content. So if you're trying to make, biofuel, that kind of thing, maybe research that too. So there's just a lot of things in our world that we are neglecting and we're avoiding and we're not using correctly. In part because there's a group of people, or people's groups, however you want to put it. There are people or entities out there that are more interested in making money or having power than they are in caring for the environment and truly caring for the people who are dependent upon them. And as a result, those industries are negatively impacting our world. And so a lot of the things that show up in our medications, for instance, aren't good for us. I mean, all you have to do is see a few commercials on TV and listen to the fine print ads, like, may cause, drowsiness or reckless behavior or explosive diarrhea or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And yeah, like anybody wants to take a medication that'll cause you to have those problems. Oh, my stars. Nope. Thank you. I don't want those. At the same time, I also have to be able to function during the day. So it's like that cost benefit analysis. Which one is, what do I have to do to get the best results for myself? Also, a lot of the medications out in the world require, pill shape of some sort. Well, to fill them, what are the fillers? A lot of folks are allergic to the fillers actually in the pills. So if you're having an allergic reaction to something, ask yourself, what's the new medication you're taking and what's in it? Not the active ingredient, it's the inactive ingredient. So a lot of those inactive ingredients are bad for you. Really bad. So, I mean, they're really bad. Um, so yeah, before you just say, "Hey, doc, this one didn't work. I broke out in hives, and it must be the active ingredient." It's like, man, step back. I mean, I found out I'm allergic to sulfa, and as a result, I'm allergic to eggs, and I'm highly sensitive to cruciferous vegetables that are high in sulfur, have a high sulfur content. Yeah, which is great. Yeah, leafy greens for the win, right? So that's post COVID, by the way. Yeah, isn't that awesome? Um, but as I get further from COVID, some of that stuff seems to be a little better. We'll see. Um, Maybe I just need to drink more water, right? I don't know. It's frustrating. There's so much out there, and I can't cover it in an hour. I couldn't cover it in a day. I couldn't cover it in a year. So much information. What I'm saying is, before you put a pill in your mouth, for whatever reason, if you're getting it from a pharmacy, ask what it is, get the information. Don't go to multiple pharmacies if you can keep from it. By golly, that's bad. I use a pharmacy. That way, my pharmacist actually knows me. They really do. And they're familiar with my medications, and anything that might show up is there. And I can walk up to the counter and say, hey, if I take blah, is it going to negatively impact what I'm already taking, or is it going to affect my health? Or not? Yes or no? And it's just one of those things that, as a responsible human, I need to know. right? And if I'm going to a homeopathic doctor, I need to ask the same questions. If I'm going to someone who practices Chinese medicine, same questions. And if you're going to any of those folks, you need to make sure that you are telling them what you take, not just your prescription medications, but also the non prescription ones. Because if you don't, how are they going to know whether or not something you take is going to interact with something you don't take? Like some medications, you can't really have citrus with them because it causes other problems. Um, yeah, seriously. You shouldn't have orange juice with your, I think it's an antibiotic if I remember right. Some medications, if you take them and you go out in the sunshine, you're more likely to get a sunburn. Some things, both herbal and prescribed, will cause your birth control to not work. And that includes your antibiotics, by the way. So, yeah, if you're taking an antibiotic because you've got a flu bug, that's a bacterial flu bug, not a viral one. And then you're probably going to have an inactive um, birth control regimen if you're taking the pill or something like that. So be cautious, And if you don't know the information, it is up to you to educate yourself. It's not up to your doctor to educate you, or your pharmacist, or your parents, or your neighbor, your brother, your spouse. It is up to you to ask the questions and do the research. Because if you have time to look up at the silly cat videos that your friends are sending you, or go on TikTok to follow the latest trend, or what have you, you have time to research your own health. And you have the time to do the things to make you healthier so that you live a happier life. I'm not saying a longer life because length is indeterminate. I'm saying a happier, healthier life. I mean, if you're winded just walking across a room, maybe you need to stop and ask yourself, what am I doing wrong, and what other choices can I make to make myself healthier so I can walk across the room without, being winded and losing my breath, or going up the stairs, or if you want to go for a walk in the woods but you don't know where to go, which I understand, and to get there you have to take a bus or a train or what have you, and you're worried about being able to fit in the seat, you need to ask yourself, what do I need to do so I can achieve that goal? There are, and those are health and fitness goals that you can set yourself. I'm not saying to do it as a New Year's resolution. I'm saying to do it as a lifetime resolution. I'm right there. As a result of my bradycardia and my high blood pressure, I'm not supposed to have stress in my life. Oh, my stars. When I read that one, I laughed so hard. I cried. I laughed so hard. No stress in my life, seriously. Have you looked at our world right now? There's a little bit of stress. And that's not counting my kids or my family or my pets. Or even looking at the politics. Oof, that's just going outside and looking at the weather right now because we live in a snow globe. So, yes. Don't make New Year's resolutions because a lot of people are starting to think about them right now. Make lifetime resolutions. Research your medications. Research your lifestyle choices. Make sure you're making the right choices for your personal health. If you want to be here for your children, your grandchildren, your nieces, your nephews, or maybe it's your parents that you want to take care of, are you making the right choices to make sure that you're here for that? And if it means that your mental health is having problems, get a check in on that too. You can reach out to me, wildpaisley@gmail.com. You can reach out to many other organizations. Come back here. The suicide hotline, I even have that one. I'll give it to you guys, because that's one of those numbers I think everybody should have in their phone. It's the mobile number is 988. Dial 988 and you'll get a mobile response. And it's not someone coming to knock on your door. It's someone answering the phone and trying to help. So, and that's without calling 911. But if you do think someone in your immediate vicinity is in danger of hurting themselves or others, do make sure you pick up the phone and call 911, because that's a big deal. So, Not that any of you are, because if you were that stressed out, by golly, you've listened to me a few times, you know how to ground it out and breathe, right? I've heard box breathing's good. I just in for 3, out for 4, that kind of thing. So, yeah, man, there's so much we can do to make ourselves healthier. One of my books, duty is heavier than a feather, or duty is heavier than a mountain. Yeah. And sometimes that duty to ourselves is the one that's the heaviest. Because by golly, if we don't take care of ourselves and put ourselves first, who is? Not a doggone person. Really, truly. So, all right. On that note, I'm going to take off because, hey, it is the holiday season, and I promised the mini me that we'd have a tree, which we do have. I just have to go put it in a stand. Isn't that awesome? And the new kitty that you guys haven't seen yet, her name's Beans. It's her first year. She's almost 3 months. And I got a small tree on purpose because Beans is probably going to get into the tree, and I'm fully expecting it. So I'm prepared intentionally. So I will see you guys next week. I may show up and do a 3-minute video. I don't know. I'll put this information about the Chinese medicine in here just because I think it's interesting. It is interesting. But yes, do your research. Don't trust your personal health to what other people say. And by golly, if someone says, oh, I had that once and I did this, and oh, you'll feel so much better. Okay, that sounds great. But not every fix works for every person. And that's just the way of it. And a lot of folks say that because they're trying to help. So take that advice in the spirit it is given, even if it does absolutely nothing for you. Because I understand. I've had that one. So, oh, you've got chronic arthritis and blah 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 blah. Blah. I've got it's a list, I tell you. Oh, just take an ibuprofen, you'll be fine. Yeah, that's why I work with the cane some days, guys. So, anyways, I'm Paisley Wilde. This is the Spaces Between. This is not really your traditional pagan type of presentation today. Instead, more I was kind of on the soapbox with medications and pharmacy and homeopathic medicines and such. So, mostly do your research, kids. I think that's one of the biggest lessons I've given all of you. Do your research. If you have questions for your medical professional, write them down. Don't try to remember them. I put them in an email so I have them. Or, even better, I put my stuff in my calendar on my phone. Because if I don't have a calendar going, I am messed up and I am behind in everything. And if I come up with a question I want to talk to the doctor for and about whatever, I put it in the notes section. That way it's like, hey, by the way, I have a question about this, or I have a question about that, or hey, I got a question about this. It works wonderfully because I have a squirrel brain and I forget things. And I have to use all the memory tools I have available. That's just all there is to it. So, I hope you guys have a great day. Deep breathing exercises. If you have a chance to see the Northern Lights, by golly, do it. They are quite strong right now for reasons I'm not going to go into in this particular episode. If you're in a place where the snow is falling, please drive safe. And for the holiday season, no matter where you are in the world, I hope you have a safe and merry one, and I will see you next time. So merry meet and merry part and merry meet again. And this is Paisley Wilde, and thank you for joining me here in the Spaces Between.